All right, hey everybody, and welcome to the 90-minute art challenge. I'm your host Bobby Chu, and I also have on the stream my co-host Masei Seki. Hey Masei.
Hi, Bobby. Hi, everyone.
Yes, and we also have an awesome guest artist, the one and only Yangtian Li. Hey Tian, how's it going?
Hi, Bobby. I
Yay.
want to say hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
So
Yeah,
good to have you on.
totally great to have you. And before we get into things, I just want to mention some of the awesome, exciting things that are about to happen throughout the next bunch of days. Here we go. First one is the spring extravaganza, egg extravaganza. This is simple. It's a really fun, just challenge to do with your friends or just to do by yourself with the rest of the Discord community. We're doing this on the Lightbox Expo Discord, where the winner, okay, everybody paints or does something digital with the idea of having the word egg as your theme. So something to deal with egg. And the winner would get a Wacom 1. The winner would also be chosen by the designer of Baby Groot, guest judge Anthony Francisco. He also did the vision versus vision battle for, one of those things out there that, many of us have seen. And yeah, I almost stumbled into some stuff, which I kind of did. So, okay. The other thing I want to mention is, how do you do this? How do you kind of be a part of this challenge here? The challenge is to create your own original egg-themed illustration using anything digital medium, 2D, 3D. How to submit it? You post your egg inspired illustration on LBX Discord server in the hashtag egg post submission by Tuesday next week, April 6th, okay, 12 p.m. Eastern time, or is it 12 a.m.? I guess it's
12 p.m.
12 p.m. Eastern time. Awesome. And of course, the winner would be chosen by Anthony Francisco. And the other thing I want to mention is Clubhouse. So we've been doing all these really fun, great Clubhouse conversations. The next one's happening tomorrow. This one is all about the art of social media. Okay, and the best way to get better at social media, everybody, is to learn how others create these huge followings. So join us as these artists with six-figure followings or more take the stage and discuss their strategies to success. So we're talking like Raf Grassetti, Proco, Pernil Oram, Ergo Josh, and many more. This is going to be happening 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And for those of you that don't have an iPhone, don't have an iPad, you're Android all the way or whatever it might be, you can also listen to the conversation on our Discord channel here, okay? discord.gg/lightboxexpo. One last thing is that we have an awesome workshop coming up with the one and only Wouter Tulp. So I'm just going to show a little trailer for that. All right, and here we go. There's the painting that we're going to be doing today, and some of you might be going, where did I get that painting from? Well, you go to tumblr.com, look up 90-min art challenge. Maybe I'll put it on screen here. Yeah, let me just put it on screen. There's so many. Okay, cool. So if you go to 90-min art challenge, you can see all the different studies that we do. This is today's study right here. Really neat portrait of this very interesting person that has like silver hair and stuff and all sorts of cool things. Yeah, and so what do you do with this image when you're done? You post it on Instagram, okay? And when you post it on Instagram, hashtag it 90-minute art challenge, and that way everybody can see it. And for every stream, we show a bunch of our favorites, or it's really, I'm the one choosing them, but hopefully everybody likes them. But yeah, there's some really great ones every week, so definitely check them out.
Someone already did it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's also very neat seeing all the various versions that people will do and how they're different from everybody else.
For sure.
That one's great.
Aww,
Oh,
that was
cute.
so cute.
I know, right? So cute.
Yeah, I think the great part about the people who take the reference and then, adds a twist to it and creates their own ideas. And if they finish it really well, like the one that we just saw, they could totally put into their portfolio. So kind of like a win-win, study and portfolio in one kind of thing.
Yeah, this is great.
And also, you know what's great? Is this person right here. This is Tian's Instagram page. Go give her a follow, Yangtian Li, or _ Li, I should say, on Instagram, and you can check out all of your beautiful stuff. Really, really worth going through. You got some epic
Thank you.
art
So
here.
pretty.
Totally.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not very active on social media though, so
It's okay, you're focused.
yeah.
Hey, it's all good.
Trying
It's
my
all
best.
good. Yeah, and also there's also a whole bunch of people on Discord that are hanging out, doing stuff on Discord. Can't forget our Discord community here with our awesome mods and everything. You can see a whole bunch of people are on here on Discord, and you can sketch and paint with everybody. You can see all these different people all doing the challenge together today, which is so cool, so fantastic, great to see. It's always easier to do art with other people, you know.
It's like going to the gym. It's easier when you go with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Look at that, and you get to see all sorts of different versions of things. It's great. Am I forgetting something? I'm forgetting Slido here. If you want to ask a question and you are still confused about Discord, you can go ahead to slido.com.
Oh, Bobby, you got
Bobby, we
cut
can't
off.
hear you.
Oh,
Hey, Bobby.
hey, can you
I
hear me
don't know
now?
if you can hear us, but you're cutting in and out.
Oh, must be Discord. There we go. How's that? Hopefully that's better. All right. Still nothing, huh? Huh. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. Am I back?
Nice, nice.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry everybody. All right, we're back. And I was just mentioning Slido. If you go to slido.com and hashtag 90Mac, 90-minute art challenge, then you can find where to type in questions in case you don't like Discord and you don't understand Discord and you don't want to get on Discord and ask questions live. You could always ask questions there. Okay, and to kick things off, maybe we could just ask the first question that I see on Slido here, and then we could get into our Discord community as well. This one's from Anonymous and says, Tian, I love your art. What were your major inspirations when you were younger?
When I was younger, okay, there's a lot of inspiration. I guess my first inspiration from like childhood is probably Sailor Moon and all these Disney princess movies. When I was growing up, I watched a lot of those and I always loved them. and one of the, like, I think I had like all the Disney movie collection, right? And there was one, I think it was Snow White. There was actually the behind of the scenes of Snow White, and then you actually get to see all the animators drawing all the character designs and everything. And so I thought that was so cool. I wanted to do something like that. And actually, in Sailor Moon, there's also one episode where they also showed the animator's story. So one of the animator actually got a super pencil, and that pencil got to turn into a monster. But they actually showed how the animator was drawing with that pencil, and the pencil gives her so much power. And then she drew all these cool dynamic poses and everything. And I thought, that's such a cool job. So I think not only these animations inspired me, but also the content of the animation let me know that there's also someone work behind the scenes of animation or the entertainment stuff. So that's I guess, does that answer the question?
Yeah, it's interesting because you went into games.
Oh yeah. So I started like that was when I was really young. I started watching animation first. And then when I was a teenager, I'm more obsessed with games because, as a teenager, you get to play computer games. And I think, so when I got into university, I actually studied animation for games. So it's kind of like a combination where I did learn animation, but the animation stuff that I learned was more catered towards games. And I think for games, I generally just preferred that at the time, it was more catered towards a mature audience instead of animation where it's more catered towards a younger audience. And there was more job opportunity for me back then to go into games. So that's how I got into games. But maybe someday I could still work on animation. I don't think they conflict each other too much. I think all the knowledge still goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I wonder, right? If you worked on a very violent game like Mortal Kombat or something, and then you wanted
Call of
to,
Duty.
yeah, or Call of Duty, yeah, and then you wanted to do some like, Finding Nemo 3, would that be a problem?
Mm,
I don't think it would be a problem.
no, I don't. I think it's a matter of what you want to show in your portfolio. If you showed that you could do some stylized work, then you could be doing Finding Nemo. But for me, for a long time, it's just whatever pays the bills.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get the Discord community into the conversation as well. Does anybody have anything they want to ask? Otherwise,
Hello?
Okay, yeah.
Hi. Hello, Bobby.
Hi.
Hello, Yang. Hello, Matei. Hello, everyone. I'm Nico.
Hey,
I have a
Nico.
question for Yang. And your work, I see there's some inspiration in some classical art around your Instagram. And I just love the colors that you use. I wanted to ask you, and what is your process of creating the color palette for your pieces? I'm struggling with that a lot, so I would love some advice.
I'm curious to know.
Actually, for my coloring palette, for me, generally, I do a lot of reference gathering before. So whenever a color palette, it's always like there's tons of reference on my side that I pick certain colors that I really like. But I think in the end, it also just kind of, I don't know, it just comes with whatever I had in mind at the time. I think with digital media, one of the best thing is that you can adjust colors so easily. I'm not sorry, it's not super helpful, but I think just always try to experiment with your color palette. Just always, like don't stay with what you initially set up with. Just play with curves, play with layers, play with I don't know, and also like how you mentioned I had some classical art influence. I do really look into their palettes too. I look at a mocha piece and I would see which colors is he using. I would analyze like why would he use it this there? Why does it gives me that kind of classic look? Maybe it's because his colors are way less saturated because back then they don't have digital media, right? So maybe my color palette shouldn't be as saturated as his, as like the computer age of graphic. Some things along these lines, I guess.
Mhm. I totally agree with the whole reference thing because it's like, and also once you start taking a certain color palette for a photo, for example, you start to like pick up on things like this color plus this color, depending on their saturation and values and stuff, they look good. So then you start taking that and memorizing it, and then when there's a piece, for example, where you don't rely on it references specifically, it's a lot easier to have it become more intuitively. So at least for me, that's kind of what I've learned lately after doing so many of these studies, is that I just start picking these things up the more I do it. So it is a matter of just like practice and analyzing things. It's like asking yourself like, what are the saturations, what are the values, like how much of this do I need to make this other color stand out. So I think it's having like that awareness also helps as well.
Sure.
I have a question about references while you're on the subject.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm at the point where I'm starting to finally like really see an improvement in my work. The more as I practice every day, but I use like tons and tons of references for each piece. Like I just have like tons of references on the side. Like as a professional in the industry, will that ever be frowned upon?
No, the more
Mm.
I mean, you still make selections along all these references, but
Yeah.
the more research that you did, I think it never hurts.
Okay, cool.
It also depends on what you do as well and how you're using those references. If I could just kind of add it there, because you don't want to be somebody that kind of can't paint without that exact reference, right? You know what I mean, Tian? Like a lot of times we gather a bunch of references to create some, whatever soldier or whatever that Tian's doing, I don't know, for her violent game. And then, piecing together, oh, the lighting from this reference with the pose, perhaps 80% of the pose from this reference, and then some other small, like intricate posing with the hands, perhaps, and then another one for the weapon, or a few for the weapon, and then, so on and so forth. If you find yourself having to kind of take exact reference for everything, that is, I wouldn't really recommend that. And it's like, try to look at your reference as inspiration for your creation, as opposed to measuring out angles and measuring out exact proportions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
Or else it
understand.
becomes a bit of a crutch when you rely
Yeah.
too much on reference.
Like, perfect example, look at what I'm doing with this reference. I have no, like, I actually, I didn't know what the heck I was going to do, but I'm not using the reference as something I'm trying to copy from. And it's like, we're all kind of not copying the reference because we're all going about it in a completely different way. And actually, on that little note there, I would love to ask Tian, do you usually start with a soft edge brush? Because, like, that's what you're doing here.
For this one, I was doing it because so this was with Magma Studio, right? And before I come to the session, I was asking you guys about the brushes. I usually like to start with a softer brush, but not this soft. But I think there wasn't many other options, but this is like one of my process that I use. So I always try to experiment with uh, different approaches to things. This is like a method that I use whenever I'm kind of unsure about things. So I give myself a bit more room to like have the harsher edge in the end, so that like at first I'm just like, okay, I still got enough room to mess around. And then in the end, I'm like, okay, now there's only half an hour left. I gotta put my foot down. So that's what this approach was. But this is not usually how I do it. Usually when I do it, it's probably, especially with character design, it's probably more like what Masay was doing, like do the line work first, and then do the, and then do the coloring, and then try to make smaller adjustment on top of that. But yeah, over here, I just because there was so much subtleness in this image, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of subtle gray, and I just want to give myself enough room to work on that. Yeah, that's why the soft look.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember not knowing what the heck I was gonna do, and I just knew time is running out, and I need to put some paint down. Yeah. So I was just trying whatever. I was trying to do something completely different with the colors, but then eventually it started to get closer and closer to the reference, which is exactly what I was saying to the gentleman that asked the question just now. I feel like I'm projecting on this person because I'm trying to really talk to myself. You know.
This image was really interesting. I think it also showed up, like for some reason, sometimes the background looks more rosy, sometimes it looks more yellowish gray. And it's just because the palette is so subtle, it could go either way, which is a really interesting image for us to all work on. And you can see how everyone kind of picked a different gray for her clothes as well. It's like mine is a bit more towards the blue, and Masay and Bobby's is a little more towards the green. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a really great kind of learning outcome that people can get from this, from just like subtleties in hue and saturation.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about you guys or whoever that's drawing this image right now. I thought it was really hard.
It's hard.
I guess
Yeah.
the subtlety.
I don't know about
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
if you think it's hard, how would you break it down for a beginner to just feel comfortable with getting started?
Right. I would say if you have enough time, or you could do black and white study on this first. That way you are not working on the super subtle colors from the get-go. You just try to work out the values, because the values in this image is also great. If you just work on the values first, and then if you have extra time, then work on the palette to differentiate the grays. But I think for beginner, starting from black and white would be easier.
That's a great tip. Also, like when I squint my eyes, it's almost like there's three values that pop out, right? The background, a lot of the hair kind of merges in with the jacket, and then the third tone, I would say, is kind of like the face without the details.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think about that, and kind of group everything in those three different ways, right? Like group the hair with the clothes, the face is a group and the background is a group, then you just want to make sure those are nice and separated so you can really tell the difference between each of them. And then within each of them, you just do subtleties of like just a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, because that's exactly kind of like what's happening in the image as well. And that would be a great learning outcome, I think, for any beginner or intermediate artist as well. Screw it, advanced artists as well, like you know. There's
I
lots to
think for me,
learn.
this was a learning curve too. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't, I should do more studies like this too. When I was doing this, I was like, oh man, I feel rusty. I should do more.
Yeah, I find that these have been helping a lot just with figuring out colors. And when I don't have the 90-minute 90 minutes to spare to do a study like on a different day, I generally try to do like little rough color studies. So for that person that just asked the question, maybe one thing that I would recommend if color is something that you struggle is with, make a small like canvas and just blocking the colors and see how one color reacts beside the other ones. Like if one desaturated blue, how does that look like beside a slightly more saturated, like warmer color, for example? And then, you can just you do that and see like how things look beside each other. And then you just start like picking up on things. So that could be like one way.
Awesome. Let's go to this interesting question from Sophie in Slido. Says, Tian, for your prisoned singer piece, how long did it take you? And are you afraid to tackle very detailed pieces, knowing that you have to keep your social media too? So I guess... you don't really keep
I
up
don't
with
really
yourself.
keep my social media.
We were just talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if tomorrow, you go to the clubhouse to tackle all the social media side of things. But I can't answer the first half of the question. Is that because that's a personal piece, I can spend as much time as I want, and I just want to give myself that. It's a gift to myself to allow me that much time to spend on personal piece. So I just do that for myself.
Awesome.
But for the social media, do something else. Like don't. Yeah, that's just for me.
Yeah, I feel like in many cases it's totally worth it spending more time on something like that than to worry about, I'm not going to be posting this week, right? Because like there's so much content nowadays, and so much of it is like you can almost feel like they are trying to feed the social media machine, right? I need to do something to post on social media, and that was the purpose of the thing, and generally that takes less time. So if you spend more time and you really go into details and do all this, do all that, it might take you 2 weeks, but the amount of traction that you get from it could very much be worth it.
I think you could also post work in progress. Just keep updating people that you are working on this piece. I've seen people do that, and I think there are people that enjoy doing that too. Personally, I don't do it. It's because I don't want to be influenced when I'm working on a personal piece. I don't want to care what people are thinking, like, maybe you should do this and that, or maybe, like, I don't want to be swayed by others' opinions. I just, again, it's a gift for myself, right? So I just want to do whatever I want. And yeah.
That's so true. Sometimes when I share a piece that I'm working on with other people, when I get all these compliments, I don't know why, but it makes me feel like, okay, I did good enough. Now I can stop. And then there's times when I just don't finish the painting, and it's like I spent so much time on it. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of react weirdly when it comes to positive feedback on a work on progress.
You're probably afraid of if you're working on it for too long, then it would lose what you have at this stage, right? 'Cause that sometimes happens. And I think, yeah, I think on one hand, I don't mind, like if it's, like work, if I show it to art director and, like they just say, oh, change this, change that. And I do that all the time. So that's why for my personal painting, I'm just like, okay, like shut up, everyone. I'm doing this for myself.
I think
Yeah.
I think Masay, you really stumbled into, or you didn't stumble, you like started talking about a very interesting kind of point there, where it's like, uh, how do we act when you feel like you're behind, with your skills and stuff like that, versus, oh, everybody likes my stuff. I guess I'm like, on track, I'm doing good, or maybe ahead of the pack. Like everybody kind of works differently, but I know for me, if I feel like I'm behind, I turn on the turbo boosters pretty hard because I don't want to be behind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like if I'm ahead, it's like that doesn't really matter half the time because I always want to do something else. And so that makes me feel like I'm behind again and need to catch back up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do you think, like, what do you think really, how do both of you be motivated, right? Like when it's like at the top most intense kind of level, is it like from a very exciting project, or is it from a looming horrible deadline? Like I wonder what kind of drives us more, positive stuff or negative stuff.
I think it really depends on what it is, right? If it's a project, if it's an illustration project, like then it's definitely the deadline. Like gotta get this done. But if it's a personal piece, I think I always want to look at my previous piece, and then I want to be better at my previous piece. And I think that's just for me, so that I'm not comparing to anybody else. I'm not having any toxic thoughts. I just want to improve on myself and
Okay,
just create this for myself.
can I readjust the question a little
Okay,
bit?
sure.
Do bad comments motivate you more, or good comments about your stuff?
Bad comments depends on how constructive it is.
Say
If
they're
it's
very
really
constructive. Yeah. Say they're very constructive.
then
But
I would
yeah.
say that's great. If they're constructive, then sure, I will improve it either on this picture or even carry that thought to the next painting.
So that would motivate you
But
more or less than if everybody was like, hot damn, Tian, it's all about Tian. Oh my God, you see she just dropped something new, and oh my God, it's so good.
I think at this point I'm old enough to just don't care.
That's good.
Just I think when I was younger, I would care about everybody's comments a lot more. I think now I just I have a job that makes me good income and I enjoy my project, and so I don't really need to create a lot of sort of supporters for my art. It's just like, hey, this art is what I do. You like it or not, here it is.
What about you, Miss A?
Sorry.
No. It's like a different type of motivation for me. When it's like positive ones, then it's a motivator to want to produce more to share with them. And then I guess the more like the feedback kind of comments would be like, okay, it's like, okay, then I'll try to apply that to my next piece, or like, oh, I can show them that I can do better than that piece. So it's like, but it also depends on my mood on that day. So, but you know, both can be great motivation drive to strive to do a better piece.
I feel like I react well to both versions, but I think the compliments drive me more. Like, that sounds so shallow and whatever, but I just want to be totally honest with everybody, like naturally. If I thought about both scenarios, a lot of compliments would make me want to work harder.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's nice hearing nice comments.
For sure. Actually, yeah. On that note, I actually took Nathan Fox's Schoolism class, like the one-on-one version. And so I remember there was one session where he was giving me feedback, and he was like, "Oh, this is good. I don't really know what to say. Like, this is good." And then I think in my feedback, like he said, "Oh, I felt kind of useless because I'm not giving you more feedback on this." But I said, even if it is good, if you can tell me what is good, then I can try to maintain it for the next pieces.
Oh,
So I think
awesome.
that's still very positive when someone is telling you, whether you are aware or not, that you are making certain decisions to make something look good. So if someone point that out, I think that's a huge motivation factor too.
Oh, I like that. It's kind of like reinforcing something so that they know this is something that works in that piece.
Yeah. Because I might not know that I made that decision, but I didn't know why I made that decision. But if a mentor told me, "Oh, you made this decision, and I can see how this is working, and then next time I will remember to make that decision again."
Mm-hmm. Rather than it being like an accidental decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anybody in Discord want to join in with any questions or comments?
Hey guys, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Bobby, Masae, and Yangtian. Thank you so much. I've actually been I've been so shy about jumping in, but my name is Lori, and my question actually to all of you is, so I have a Schoolism subscription, and I'm learning, different techniques, and sometimes I find it really hard to distill like an approach that's right for me. Like maybe I'll take Wouter Tulp's course, and on the digital, the workshop, and I think I have it down, and then I'll start learning something else, and it's just I'm finding it hard sometimes to like find a technique that's my own. So I was just wondering what your guys' experience with that is as you kind of came along learning.
Oh, I'm so like all over the place in my learning. I just want to learn everything, so I could definitely relate to that. The best things in the world is when you're learning one thing and then you learn another thing, and then you find some sort of similarity, some sort of connection between how to, design, how to paint clouds and how a certain fabric is rendered. It just creates this new thing where it becomes more of your own. So I actually love learning multiple things at the same time, not at the exact same time, of course, but I would go more like a week on this hardcore, and then I change my focus for the next week, and then I might go back, and so on and so forth. Just trying to find those connections. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm kind of like a Schoolism addict. Like, I start, like I'm watching, one, I'm getting it, and then I hit a point where I'm not understanding it, right? So I've been watching like Jonathan Hardisty's class. I'm like, oh, now I'm getting edges right, but I feel like, I'm doing everything on the iPad, and I need to really like brush up Photoshop. So I'm taking a Bobby's class, and but so it's like I'm kind of. Yeah, like I love learning too. I'm like, I can't, it's like I'm eating candy, So I guess it's just going to be in time because I've only been, I was a sculptor and I've only been painting digitally for about like a year and a half. So I think just time will take time, but like I'm so anxious and I love it so much.
And Lori, I love the whole entire vibe that you're giving off as well. I feel like you're doing it right. For those out there where this might apply, I just want to caution people to kind of like not spend too little time kind of trying to learn one thing before jumping onto the next, because that's an issue as well, where it's like, oh, I watched every single Schoolism video, every single course. Can you take a look at my portfolio? And it's like, did you watch all of them? Like, because it looks like maybe they spent too little time on each thing before moving on to the next and didn't actually get anything out of it to, add to the next thing that they're going to learn.
Yeah. It's like they didn't let it sit and absorb, or they didn't absorb and let it marinate in their like brain to.
Yeah. There's like a
Let it
sweet
matter.
spot, I think. And everybody's different, but there's kind of like a sweet spot,
Yeah, I agree. I think also whenever I take a course, and then after I finish the course, I mean, yeah, like with all the homework and stuff, you obviously improve. But also after a while of the course, I kept thinking about the points that I learned in the course. And I feel like after maybe 3 months to like 6 months, that's where it really hits me. And like, oh, wait, okay, now I get it. Maybe I'm just slow, I don't know, but that's how it works for me. I feel like it takes a while for me to digest all the information.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where I paint like the 90-minute challenge, and then like there's this moment where I'm like, oh, that's what Craig Mullins meant by like this thing and this lesson, and I'm like, it took me like almost over a year to finally understand, because it's like I understood what he was saying, I just didn't know where to see it or when to use it.
Isn't that the
So-
coolest thing about art, though? Oh my gosh. It's like this treasure hunt for knowledge. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like I was just
So
around
much
that
cool.
bend. I didn't see that tree there, and all this time until I went by it the 20th time, 2 years later.
Yeah. It just takes time for all the thoughts to sort of settle, I guess.
I want to go to this next question here from Slido. This person saying that they're having hand problems for 9 months now, and every time they get better, the pain comes back, and they can't go to a doctor. Should I stop until I can go to a doctor? And I would say yes.
Yes, 100%, 1000%.
Yeah.
Gotta take care of yourself. Yeah, I had arm pain sometime like 2 years ago, I guess, or last year. It was really starting to hurt, and I changed my mouse. So like from like a small mouse, I changed to something more like this, where it has more of the arc. I find that helped. And also I started exercising a lot more. And I wasn't exercising before, and I was stretching. So like do this kind of stretch a lot. Just make sure you rest enough till it doesn't hurt, and then you can, resume your work or whatever, because you don't want it to impact the rest of your life.
Yeah, the thing that helped me a lot was finding a good physiotherapist, because like really good physiotherapists, it's like they are detectives on what the problem is, and they investigate, and they should be able to tell you, this is what's happening, this is what's wrong, and now you could do this to get it better.
And I guess also like a bit of trial and error, like how Tian was saying about her mouse, it's a bit more ergonomic, and that like made a huge difference. So maybe just kind of like doing that kind of research, if right now you don't have the luxury to see the doctor, maybe try things that other people have done. So maybe it's just a matter of like process of elimination, but obviously the doctor would know the answer, the best answer.
for sure.
Anyone else in Discord want to join in with a comment, a question?
Do you ever get sick of doing so much art?
To all of us.
Just like because I'm a beginner, and sometimes if I feel bad about it, it's like I think I need a break from doing the art.
Oh, okay.
You'll start to really love it when you start doing really good stuff. Like I found like I just love doing art so much more. I feel like I don't have enough time to do all the art I want to do, to be totally 100%, truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. The passion never goes away. So.
Do any of you remember, and this, I don't know if this sounds weird, but do you, any of you remember when, and this could be for Discord people as well, when you actually painted something or drew something, you got to a point where like it looked good to you kind of, and then you're like, oh dang, yeah, right on. Like, does anybody remember celebrating their victories here? Because we always point out our faults so much,
Yeah, I mean, I do that. I definitely celebrate myself. I mean, why not? If I don't like it, then why would I expect other people to like it?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always things that I could improve on, but I think just enjoy what I work on, and I think that love would, go across to other people too.
Yeah.
For me, I'm working on this painting. Actually, I'm doing a painting for the spring extravaganza as well. Obviously, I'm not entering in the contest. It's more like I want to be a part of it. But I'm like, as I'm working on it, I'm like, yeah, this is turning great. But I think for me, I've learned that I don't want to psych myself out by, getting too excited, because once I get too excited, then everything starts like falling apart. So kind of finding that balance of like, oh, I'm really satisfied with it, but I don't want to get, too ahead of myself.
How often does it happen where you're painting something, whatever painting you're doing, you're like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like scrapping it. But then you work your way through it, and it's actually just part of the process. It doesn't happen to me every time, but I would say like maybe 20% of the time, there's a huge moment where I'm just like, F this idea.
Yeah, I get it. I get it all the time too. Yeah, totally.
It's definitely hard to get through that. And I think I have had times where I've spent so long on it and then started from scratch, but then sometimes I get there quicker or faster. There's times when it actually takes a lot longer, but I think it's just going through that process is just important. And then you start learning like just things on the way, like where do things go wrong. It's like before you get to that point, you should take a couple steps back.
Doing these things has really helped to improve that for me, because like so many times when I'm painting with everybody, everybody kind of goes through imposter syndrome, even if you're a professional or whatever. And it's like so many times I'll be painting, and no matter how good I'm doing, I feel like I'm doing worse than everybody else on the board. And then I'll be like, I wish I could just, reset this whole thing. But you can't, so 90-minute challenge has actually been very helpful for that.
Yeah, that's so real. That's what I was going through at the time when we were doing that.
We all struggled together through it, yeah.
Yeah, we were all probably thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was like, this is not looking good. Can I restart? But this is on recording. I couldn't.
And that's also a bit of reality of like working on projects. It's like sometimes there's just, you can't go back, and you just have to work through.
Yeah,
and, like,
power through it.
Yeah, power through.
Yeah, especially when there's a deadline and you're like, just gotta finish it.
It's like sometimes the best advantage you can have is to have no options, right?
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
just like gets you through stuff.
You become more resilient as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I feel like sometimes, it's like, thank goodness I wasn't like raised in a super rich family or something, and I didn't get to go to that really awesome art school that my classmates in college went to, and things like that, because maybe it helped with the resilience and the determination and those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a muscle. You just gotta keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. More resilient.
And everybody in Discord, feel free to join in on the conversation here. If you have anything to add or have a question you'd like to ask.
Do you ever paint out of, how can I say, emotional need, or like the therapeutical way to release your emotions when you don't have anything to release it onto?
Oh yeah, and like examples, please. Do you have any kind of examples of like that?
I did have, and I feel it's probably a bit too personal.
Oh
to
shit,
share.
yeah, sorry. I realized as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was just thinking more funny kind of examples, but yeah.
Right, but I will say that like when I went through some relationship issues, like when I went through breakup, I did do some paintings to just kind of, I guess it's kind of therapeutic. It's kind of how you listen to the sad songs. Yeah, so you kind of just I did that. So to answer your question, yes, I did that, but I'm not gonna show.
Totally.
Yeah, and recently I've been taking some therapy too, and the therapist was also saying if you, if you go through some hardships in life, you could also paint. Like she's just suggests this one in general. She's not suggesting it because I'm an artist. She's just saying that doing creative things or just doing something that you don't usually do, that really helps with like helping your emotions.
Yeah. I've done some sad ones. Yeah.
Do you want to share, Bobby?
No, I'll totally share. I would love to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did this one when there was this oil spill I saw on the news, and like all these, dead animals and stuff were coming up on shore and things like that, and you see these in videos and pictures, and I felt so bad. I was like, think about all the things that maybe died that we didn't even know existed yet, right? So I painted this like little creature that crawled out of the oil spilled ocean onto the covered sand, and it had its tiny little feet, footprints as it crawled up and just died. And that's what I painted. This little kind of fish creature just crawled up and just like died, and it just says casualty, and it's like so sad. And I remember feeling so much more sad as I was painting it, but kind of like I felt good getting all that sadness out, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another one, which is kind of funny, it's in my newest art book, Unusual Unicorns. I painted this unicorn that got stuck in a tree and then died. So it's just the skeleton of the unicorn, and its horn is stuck in a tree, right? But then where it's stuck, it started to grow flowers. Kind of like nothing really ends, even tragedy kind of thing. And that we were gonna use that for like a Schoolism ad or something, and Facebook didn't allow it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it got disapproved.
Weird.
Yeah,
Weird.
totally. It's
Okay.
weird, but I
Weird.
guess, you know, it's something about the sadness or something. I don't know what it was.
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't have any
Wow.
captions either. It wasn't like, you know, take schoolism classes or end up like this unicorn in a tree. You know, I put 0 text and it was denied.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the AI sense like, oh, it's an animal skeleton, so it's
I don't,
too
yeah,
sensitive.
who
Right.
knows?
Like too sensitive.
Yeah.
Like death related, and they're like worried about, you know, something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Masay, don't bring us down too much, but do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Actually, the thing that I remember, a piece that I did pretty recently was around Valentine's Day. Like, I think just around that time, I was just feeling really down about like everything, just sad, and I didn't know why. And I think it was because like I didn't really think I was doing a good job about like something, or like my art wasn't where I wanted it to be, and I was just like beating myself down and like, you know, not really acknowledging all the stuff I've been doing till now. So I think to relieve that like kind of sadness, I did this painting of this girl who has like flowers coming out of her chest, and usually during Valentine's you give love, but then I was thinking, oh, maybe it's nice to just also give yourself love. So it's like the flower that's coming out of her is like wrapping her head and trying to like, you know, like make herself happy. So that's kind of where that piece came from. And the caption was like, don't forget to love yourself or something.
Oh, that's
And this was like
nice.
during Valentine's. Yeah. So that was like my emotional like release piece.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Yeah.
But I remember the piece, and I remember like connecting with the piece. There's also something there about the genuineness of the emotion that you had as you're making those kind of pieces, right? That makes it so much more special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was also with watercolor, so because it was traditional, it was a lot more therapeutic because it's like
Oh,
just
yeah.
the whole, you know, paper, what like water, brush. It's separating from the digital, you know, art. I think
Yeah.
that kind of helped me get back into it.
For sure.
Yeah. I wonder, like, because definitely when I think about doing something traditional versus digital, traditional definitely sounds a lot more therapeutic.
Yeah, 100%.
Why is that?
I think you have a much closer hands-on relationship with whatever your painting is and all the materials. So it's just you are closer to your art. Like in front of the computer, our art is still, you know, a screen behind us. Like no matter whether it's on Cintiq or whatever, it's still there's a one layer between you guys. So I feel like when I can see every stroke laying down, when I feel the brush, when I feel the paper texture, it's just different. It's just closer.
True. It's awesome when you could actually use your finger into the paint. You know, you're doing your thing, or whether it's drawing or painting, and then you get your finger in there and smudge stuff or wipe things away and stuff like that. Yeah, it connects so much more.
Yeah.
I wonder about something you guys are talking about. Why do you think sadness seems to be the main reason that motivate artists to create art, but not the variety of other emotions?
I think, you know, the positive ones can definitely, anger, definitely, you know, we've seen that over the last couple years. Yeah, happiness, I've definitely, like, excitement has definitely driven me to make a lot of art as well. What are your thoughts on that, Tian or Masay?
I personally, actually, even though we're talking about like these sad moments, I do have ones where it's like, because a happy thing happened to me, that's why I'm making this piece of art. So
Right.
I think, yeah, generally I think all emotions go into art rather than just sadness. Maybe it's because we talk less about it. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember doing this piece in France. I was in Paris in a little apartment with Kay for a month, and we painted every day for this gallery show. One day it was raining really, really hard, but we're inside, we're dry, have a nice little bottle of wine, have a nice French meal, and I'm painting with my wife in Paris, and it's like raining
Oh,
outside. So I painted these two creatures, and it's raining. And these two creatures, they have these kind of like mushroom kind of shaped heads. So they have their own shelter kind of thing. But they are
oh,
close together, creating a bigger shelter. And that's what I called it, right? Shelter. And
that's so cute.
right? And
Love
it was
that.
like, I really loved it too. And I didn't want to sell it. But that's when I knew that's the piece I need to sell for sure, because people connect with this so much more when it's like genuine, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I wish I had that painting still. Whoever got that. Yeah. That's a great
Yeah,
question,
that's
though.
the.
Great topic.
Mhm. Oh, Tian, I don't know if you had an answer to that previous
Oh,
question.
yeah, it was a tough one. I'm thinking about it. I think maybe because when I'm happy, I just create stuff anyway, like I don't necessarily need to create a piece that's just for my happiness. I feel like that was like the default creating anyway. So when I'm happy, I just produce work. But when I'm unhappy, I kind of have to heal myself through this process. So by letting it out, I'm healing myself by letting out the sadness in the painting. So it's just maybe that's the reason why. Like, yeah, not 100% sure what to answer, but maybe this is something that I could talk to a therapist or a psychologist about it and like understand why. I mean, there's also a lot of happy music. There's also a lot of sad music, and yeah, I mean, I would think that it's kind of the same mind process that
Oh,
we're going
totally.
through when we're creating those pieces.
Sometimes it's so great to listen to sad music when you're really sad, right? It just feels so good. It's
Yeah,
funny. It's
yeah.
funny.
Just let it
Yeah.
out. Like
Yeah.
just let the
Oh,
sadness reach its 100% and then you can go past it.
I've mentioned this before in another stream, I think. But the show that gets me the most is actually Shark Tank. That's pretty dumb, right? It's pretty dumb, but it's like seeing them struggle with their business. I feel so connected to that kind of emotion, that kind of journey, And I remember like one day just waking up real early, so it's just me up watching TV. I put on Shark Tank, and I just bawled my eyes out. Like honestly, like it was such a great bunch of stories of these people that just struggled and struggled and struggled, and finally, they have a chance. So good, so good. Yeah.
Maybe it's because you just relate to them and it just hits home for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like you just know they're kind of probably going through. That's the thing.
Yeah. You want to feel that there's someone else that's having the same thought with you and they emphasized with you. So I guess that's why you're listening to the sad songs, and you're watching the show and you feel like someone else will understand me. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was so into sad stuff. I just wanted like everything that was really sad. I just wanted to watch it, and because like I was just so into like sadness is so beautiful sometimes. These crazy sad stories, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's funny because like a lot of people they think about me as like a very positive person, which I think I am. I just appreciate sad
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's balance.
Anybody else want to add anything or ask anything?
But isn't it like mostly people who know what like this like the intense sadness, they get much happier, much brighter, and more cheerful because they know what it is to either feel that way or fall down, and they know because of the contrast, they're able to
Yeah.
be like very positive at some point.
That is such a good point. What's your name, by the way?
Anastasia.
Anastasia? That is such a good point. Oh my gosh. Can we like
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit? I heard the most like interesting thing. This is a little while ago. It was this talk with this super rich person, right? This person is so stinking rich and he's talking about food. And he's like, this is how it is for me. And he was just no holds barred, you know, whether he sounded like a jerk or not. He was like, the restaurants that I go to nowadays, they're all Michelin star. They are all super famous, and generally people might have to save up to have a meal there. And I have these meals every day. And so he's like, these restaurants, the food there is considered the best in the world in all these different places I go or whatever. And he's like, but to me, it's just normal food because that's all I eat. So I don't really, when I think about amazing food, I have no reference for that because I only have reference for normal food and shitty food.
Because he's already
Oh my
having
God.
Yeah,
tier.
because he
Yeah.
has no
Yeah.
reference, right? He doesn't have that contrast.
Yeah, he's not in a good middle ground. He's just at the top, and there's nothing
Right.
above.
There's no reference for him.
Yeah.
It's like how Bobby was mentioning earlier, how you said, you're happy that you weren't born in a rich family because you had more struggle and you build up your resilience. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the same thing there where, if you always never struggled, then you wouldn't appreciate how much you have. Like you wouldn't appreciate as much. You would just be like, oh, I think I just take everything for granted.
Yeah.
So we should
It
all
just
feel bad for those super rich people that can afford Michelin star food all the time.
oh, for them. But this whole story kind of just makes me think about like how I feel like this is a very common story amongst people who just get into colleges or some university for arts. In high school, they're considered the best art student, and they get all these praise, and they have no one to compete against, so they kind of just stay where they are. But then once they go into school and they see all these people who are better than them, it's like they don't know how to work hard to get better because they've just been like hitting this roof like the whole time. So I mean, I feel like most people, they kind of get out of that, but then I realized there's some students who were still at the top in my year, but then they never strive to get better, and then that kind of like uh you know they didn't learn how to learn, kind of thing. So it's a shame when that happens. Although they are good, it's just they could definitely get much better.
And sometimes when we're artists and we're professional and we're starting to do our jobs good, like we get satisfied. right? And we see that happen a lot of times too. And then eventually, for many people, time catches up with them, unfortunately. You know, and it's like that style or that thing that they do is no longer in style or no longer part of what we do to create whatever, a film, a game, a animation, whatever. You know, so that's something to be careful about for, you know, those of you listening. I remember seeing a bunch of my teachers getting laid off, and at least one of them never worked in the industry again. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Oh, no.
when the person was laid off, that person was doing well in the studio, you know, earning a good living, had a good position, gets laid off, and then never wants to work in the studio again. Because what the person does is it's kind of obsolete and doesn't want to learn all this new stuff. Scary, you know.
Yeah.
Like when we're in
Yeah.
school, we're so used to learning, right? But then when you are a professional, nobody's telling you to learn anymore. Yeah.
Because you have the skill to do your job, to do your
That's not true. I listen to Schoolism every day.
Yeah, I was gonna
Nice.
say, like, I feel there's so much to learn though. I feel like there's like this curve of you don't know anything, and then you get to a point where you're like, oh, I know everything now, and then you go to like the bottom, like this process go to like takes longer, but it's like the more you learn, you'll be like, oh my god, I didn't know this. Oh, actually, I didn't know that. Oh my god, I really don't know anything. So like right now, I'm again at this. I don't know anything. I want to learn more. I think it's I think the more, I don't know, the more you learn, the more you know how little you actually know. Then you kind of want to learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions when you go through that.
100%.
Yeah. You just got to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Just as much as I could learn in my lifetime, I guess. I feel there's so much to learn.
Yeah, and another really great thing is like when you learn something so out of your wheelhouse that, you know, you're kind of creating things at such a lower level than what you're used to, and then you keep going and going and going, and then it starts getting good, right? And it's like that whole feeling of, I kind of equate it to like when I was back in school and learning something like significant. You know, it's almost feeling like you got superpowers now. Now I understand this thing. Oh, now color vibrancy. Oh, look out. Here we go. Or edges. Oh, look out. We're going to turn it up. You know, whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like how you work out different areas of your body as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, today I'm working on my arms. Oh, wait, tomorrow I gotta work on the legs now. Oh, no, now my arm's not looking as good as the legs.
You just got to keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's true. Even if you have a good, you know, good arms, good at structure or whatever, you don't do that mechanical structure for a long time, and then you got to do some mech warrior, and then you're like, oh shoot, what happened?
Yeah, you gotta go back to it, and you're like, I need to rework the arm work again. Yeah, gotta redo the learning some max, doing more research, you know, and all that.
But I love that about art. You know,
Mhm.
that's so elusive.
Always fresh.
Yeah.
Always fresh. Always something to learn.
It's also neat too because it's like the really awesome art out there. It's like we keep learning from it, like even 100 years later, which is really neat too, or hundreds of years later. You know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go.
No, I was just thinking, like, when you said like hundreds of years, you know how, like, let's just say sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but you know how if you look back 20 years ago, there was a specific like art style that was, that people knew in the art like community industry. And then looking now, you know how like it's gotten bigger, right? And there's like certain things that like are kind of recycled in a way, but then they keep like something new always comes out. So I'm just wondering, what is it going to be like, 50 years from now with like styles, like people coming up with new things that we've never seen before. Like it's just so like fun to think how there's so much things that that are going to surprise us, even years down the road. And I guess like for ourselves, it's like trying to get there as well. It's like the fun process.
So I think that's like time for a little game called Nighty Mac Predictions. Do you have any predictions of like what you think, art is going to be like? How's it going to be different 50 years from now? Was that the amount of time you were saying, 50 years?
Yeah, sure. 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going to be different?
Yeah.
VR?
I mean, for Mac, for this challenge? Or...
No, just art.
Just art.
Art in general.
I think just like fashion, it's just gonna keep on looping. Like every now and then a trend would come back, and then it will be a new development on that trend, and then it goes on for a while, and then they recast another trend from back in the days. It just kind of every time it comes back, but then it does something new, and then it brings up another thing again, and then does something new.
I think nanotechnology will come into play big time. I feel like, bioluminescent paint, right? Like paint that actually lights up, because then we could start to paint a way bigger spectrum, right? Imagine our levels of values could keep going and get brighter and brighter and brighter until you can't even look at the paint anymore, kind of thing, because it's like you pick the color of the sun or something, right? And that kind of intensity. How cool would that be to paint with that, right? And you hang it up and it actually illuminates the exact amount that you want for that scenery, that piece, whatever it is. I think that would be really cool. And I feel like animation will come into play so much more. Kind of like how electricity has come into play with so much more art. In the future, I feel like animation will be way heavier in the art than it is now.
Yeah. Like that just made me think of this video I saw of I forgot where exactly, maybe it was Korea, but they had this show that they did with a bunch of these drones, and each drone would light up, and in the sky they would just like move around and create all these animation. So I'm just thinking like that could also be another thing where they take it to the next level. It's like, what if like people from, miles away can watch the same movie from, just looking up at the sky, for example. I don't know. It's just like, just thinking about this stuff is really crazy.
How cool would that be? It's like you hear about these stories, or like back in the day, people would stare at the stars, start telling their stories by firelight or whatever. And imagine in the future, we are doing the same thing. We're staring at the stars and there's all these drones kind of showing us the story, right?
Yeah. It's
That could be a
exciting.
road hazard.
That
That could be a potential. That could be a potential road hazard, probably.
It doesn't matter, because at that point you're not driving. It's like, your machine is like hooked up and, it's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to drive you wherever.
Driving.
If you could control a robot to paint, like the robot would be sent on Mars and then you would paint like a giant poster, what kind of message do you think should be sent from space viewing down?
Super tough. Just one image.
The robot it takes like 2 years to get there, so you only get one chance.
Well, yeah.
Be kind to Earth.
It's like, who is the message for? I think that would be like the first question that would go through my mind, right? Am I communicating to other humans or entities that don't understand language that we understand, right? And we got to think of that. Kind of like how Carl Sagan had these symbols on the whatever record thing that he had that went up into space. It's like mathematically aliens or whatever would be able to understand this is somewhat of an intelligent species.
Cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah, really hard.
I also feel like, when we are old enough to be grandparents and things like that, that the younger generation, the big thing is going to be, is robot love real love? If we want to get into it, it's like, hey, this is my, companion that I love and I'm going to marry. I assembled it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that be a thing.
Yeah.
And now I've gone way off the tangent, the path.
Yeah,
of
sorry, I
Maddie.
totally started it. We're like way over there now.
Yeah. Please, somebody on Discord, help bring us back.
Yes, if anyone has a question.
Everybody's
Right.
left. It's a ghost town.
Well, I'll talk about Robot Lab. But did you guys watch like any show recently about all this Robot Lab ideas? I feel like there are some shows that are about this topic.
I remember that one. Shoot, it was like, I forget what the name of it was now, but
Her?
yes.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a cool production
Like-
design of that movie. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like they would be, like they would have a lot of lovers too. And it's like depends on your view about it whether you can handle that, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really trippy. That's really trippy.
that is. Speaking of her, I remember that one scene with the little animation of that little character in the game that was like swearing a lot. Do you guys remember that? That's something that I clearly remember, and every time I think of that movie, Her,
Swearing?
yeah, it's like the
I think
main
I
guy
bravely
was, like,
remember, yeah.
and then there's like this animation going
Mhm,
on,
mhm.
and there's like
Yeah,
this
it
little
was at the beginning, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
like for some
That's
reason
funny.
that's like very clear to me.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, Her was a really great movie. But yeah, it's a much deeper topic, and we probably don't have enough time to go through. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Anybody else want to add anything?
I have a question about character design, actually.
Yeah, let's bring it back to topic. Right on.
Yeah, I was wondering if, like, all of you guys, this could be for any of you guys, but I was wondering, like, when you were painting a picture and you have like a completely new character in it, or like a fantasy creature or something, how often do you guys often like sketch character poses and whatnot beforehand, or do you just start from scratch from the picture? It's on the painting itself.
I think like for character design, you want to give a bit of the personality. You want to put it in a certain pose or whatever. But at the same time, the thing that you want to look out for is if you handed this to a modeler, would they still understand what's going on with your character, right? If it's like heavy perspective, like a giant hand in your face, and then, that kind of thing, that's not what we do as character designers, I would say.
I apologize. I meant more specifically like when you're painting just like if you want to paint a picture,
Oh,
like say
Like,
for
how
a
do you
90-minute,
start it?
like say for
Right.
90-minute art show, you want it like a completely, but not really for that because I know you don't have much time. But like if you're just starting a completely new picture and you want to do an illustration and you want it to have a character in it, I was wondering if you usually design a character ahead of time, or do you just come up with everything during that one painting?
I design it on the side, I think. I do a rough sketch of the character, and then I will start painting. And then it could be a back and forth. So I could be, if it's for myself, if it's a personal piece, then I would definitely just like see whatever I feel like really for personal piece. I probably, if the character is already just standing and it's showing most of their body in the picture, then I would just design it within the painting. But if it's like a certain angle that is, like has a lot of foreshortening and I couldn't necessarily design it while I was painting, I would just, break the process into several different steps by designing the character on the side, but just like very roughly, and then just paint it after I'm done with the character design. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
What do you do,
Yeah, you're
Miss A?
welcome.
I'd love to know kind of like the differences.
I think when it's like a standalone illustration, I generally don't think of like I don't design it before I start putting it into the composition. When I know it's just something that I want to do just as just one illustration, then I kind of just go draw things, paint things, and then push and pull things as I'm doing it. But if I'm doing this more for like a personal project where I want to do a series of paintings with these like this one girl and this one creature, then I'll try to be a bit more like I'll think a bit more of like, okay, what would this a cloak make sense if I were to see her from this different view. If not, then that kind of like then I'll think of something else. But when it's just a one illustration, then I kind of just go with what looks nice most of the time. But still think about like what makes sense as well. If like because I guess generally stuff I do, I want it to attract the work I want to do. So I have to translate that into actual like designs as well.
Yeah,
What about you?
I'm kind of all over the place. Like I do so many different kinds of methods. I think it's really because I've done so many schoolism classes. I have all these different methods in my head, so which has been helpful because I'll just look at something and then I'll think about which kind of sets of techniques do I want to bring into this piece and like how do I want to do it. But something universal that I do in the very beginning is I'll zoom out. I'll zoom out and do my sketches like that, and I won't look directly at my painting. I'll look to the side and try to use my peripheral view to paint to paint it. Because when I stare at my exact marks, it's harder for me to imagine things that aren't there yet because I focus too much on what's already there, right? But if I use my peripheral vision, then I can kind of stare off on my blank space, see the thing in the corner, the little sketch that I'm doing, and imagine more that way. Yeah, hopefully that can help you a bit. All right, well, here we go. Paintings are done. Last thoughts. Okay, things that you felt worked well, things that you would have done differently. Maybe we can end this with some last thoughts, starting with our guest of honor, Tian.
Yeah, looking back, I definitely think I should have worked on the clothes, like grouped the clothes a bit better. And then, maybe just worked on a little more and maybe like harden some of the edges a bit more, like creating the sharp angle on the left. And yeah, I think overall I need more practice and needs more time too.
I thought it was awesome. I really like yours, Tian. Especially like the side of her face. It's like that nice just like even the eyes. I love the like how you captured everything.
Cute. But I think you did super well there. Like I was like, oh my, it's so fast.
Oh, thank you. I think overall I like what I did. I think I just wish I got that like a sharper line for that the light that's her hair catches. If I did that, I feel like it would have popped out a lot more because everything around it is so soft that if I had that sharp edge, then because of the contrast, it would have like pop out a lot more. So other than that, I really enjoyed this reference painting.
I really loved how Tian you really dealt with your edges. So like you have sharp edges, you have soft edges, you have a nice mix. I wish I had more of a mix with mine. Masay, I love the design of your face. It's lovely. Yeah, it's
more
so
fashion.
cool. And the colors that you chose are really beautiful too. The thing that I didn't like about my painting was I tried to make it very saturated and colorful in the beginning, and that's not what this subject is about. And that probably wasn't, like looking back, I'm like, I wanted a challenge, but that probably wasn't the right challenge for this subject. This piece is about the subtleties of the saturation and how there's different hues created through such subtleties, I felt. The thing I did like was the jacket I painted. I like the jacket because the value design of it I felt was a lot more on point than a lot of the other things that I painted with this. It had a very clear kind of value statement there where most of the jacket was basically two dark tones and then you have the light tone. And it's just very clear and easy to digest.
Very readable.
Yeah, and the face was a struggle. The face was a struggle for me because of all those subtle tones. Not necessarily the structure of it, but because there's all those subtle tones, it's harder to really lock in the structure that I wanted.
So the face is also hard because half of her face is covered, and the hair, the string of hair also created so much difference between the light over here and then light over here. It's it makes the face harder to capture with that string of hair.
Totally. And somebody was saying in YouTube, will there be another stream like this? Yes, there will be. I forget which one's next, Masay, but I want to remind everybody, hey, join in on the Spring Egg Extravaganza challenge here. The theme is to create a painting with the theme of an egg, and it's sponsored by Wacom One. So the winner will get a Wacom One, and they would have Anthony Francisco, heavyweight in Marvel Studios, picking your painting out of the bunch. And yeah, just a fun little thing that we're doing. So everybody please stay tuned for that. That's going to be great. All right. Yeah. Anything else?
Don't forget the Clubhouse.
Yes. Tomorrow. The Art of Social Media. Lightbox Expo presents The Art of Social Media on Clubhouse. We are talking about, what's helped us and all this great stuff. we're going to have some amazing guests on there. Each one has at least 6 figures of followers somewhere online. So, you know, that's going to be a good one too. I don't think I really missed anything else except for some thank yous. I want to thank the wonderful Discord community, the wonderful Lightbox Expo or YouTube audience, I should say, and the moderators of Lightbox Expo Discord. Thank you so much. Y'all are nothing but awesome, wonderful people, generous with everything that you give back to the community. My amazing assistant, Jamie. Jamie's doing a little overtime today. I'm sorry, Jamie. Love you. You're amazing. And my co-host, Masei Seki, always down for a challenge. Right on, Masei. And
Always
the
fun.
biggest thank you, of course, goes to our wonderful, amazing guest, Yangtian Li. Tian, thank you so much. You are nothing but a joy to hang out with and paint with. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for everyone coming to watch. This was really fun, and yeah, I had great conversations with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yay. All right.
Thanks, Tian.
Yeah, thank you, Tian. Take it easy, everybody.
Thank you.